Folks, today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. My name is Todor Vodov, and this is the 33rd episode of Keeping It Realistic. A lot of you already know what this show is about, but for those who don't, I will gladly explain it once again. In this show, in collaboration with Chaos, we review some of the more interesting and exciting projects shared in the Chaos Campus Facebook group within the last 14 days, talking about their strengths, but also pointing out their weaknesses and even suggesting eventual ways to improve them. We also like to talk about general topics regarding the group, but also the visualization field as a whole. This is why, in the beginning of the show, we usually discuss recent announcements, events, news, but also tutorials, tools, sources of learning, and all of this. And we do all of this as a live session so that you can actively participate in the discussions, interact with each other, interact with myself. So please don't hesitate to say hi, ask questions, voice your opinion, maybe suggest a solution to a fellow artist, and generally be active. With this out of the way, welcome everyone. I hope you see my screen. I hope you hear me clearly. We had an issue with some echoes, but it must be out of the way right now. Please confirm in the comments. I see Ahmed here. Hi man, nice to see you. And generally, I'm back. I'm back from Sofia, Bulgaria, from the Chaos Connect Day, and I'm here to tell you about it today. But also we will be reviewing a few of your works. I'll show you a few inspirational projects that I came across. And of course, in the beginning, we'll take a look at some recent news and events. Daniel's here. He says, hi there, guys. Hi, everyone. I'll hide myself now, and we will take a moment to appreciate today's cover image. Abdi's here, live from Italy. That's cool, Abdi. Glad you made it to the show. But yeah, enjoy your holiday. Amit is here. Hi, Anna. You're now joining. I probably won't be able to call all of your names, but I'm very, very happy that you guys made it to today's show, and we'll have a great time together, I'm sure. So, before we continue, let's do what we usually do, appreciate today's cover image. It's definitely a special one because it doesn't only feature works from the group members, but also an event, the Chaos Connect Day, that we'll be talking about as today's topic. As for the two works that you see here, they were contributed by Dhanushka and Simão. Both of them have already been featured on the cover triptych. Nevertheless, congrats to both of you. Great works. And what brings all of those three images next to each other together in a harmonious way? Well, in my opinion, it's the different depictions, the mood and the different depictions of summer. To the left, we have a walk through Sofia on a hot, dry midday. In the middle, we have this bedroom, which is again in the summer, however, with a very different mood to it, more laid back, with soft, mellow lighting. And to the right, we have the luxury villa with this romantic evening mood to it. So what we see here, it's a small reminder. If a client wants something to be summer, summer doesn't necessarily mean bold, direct sun. There are multiple ways to depict summer, as you can see here, and all of them are legit and actually great to look at. Okay, now I will make myself visible again. I sometimes forget to do this, and we will start by checking the Chaos calendar, where we will find nothing. Obviously, this doesn't mean that there won't be any Chaos events anymore this year. It's just so that the Chaos were on tour a lot in recent times, so I think they need a bit of time to rest before they continue with the further events. So yeah, also currently it's vacation time, so I think that the events for the second half of the year will be added soon. So keep an eye on the calendar as we used to. Still, so that we have some news at least. I will continue with a small announcement. I think this was shared by Abdi, that the rebranding of i2 software, outdoor software now being called i2 Soft. It's not really a huge difference, let's be honest here. I think that if you haven't seen this video and you heard i2 Soft, you know who the talk is about. Nevertheless, I'm a fan of this company. I'm a fan of their projects. I've been using it for years, especially when it comes to the parametric scattering with RealClone. These are really, really amazing tools that I used on almost every project. Now with the Chaos Scatter, there is a certain competition between Forest Pack and Chaos Scatter. Currently, I actually use both. But when it comes to Rail Clone, this is absolutely a go-to tool for me. So yeah, also the folks over at i2 are great when it comes to support. Every time I couldn't advance with my project and needed help, and I reached out to them, they were there for me. They helped me. So yeah, I think it makes sense to give them some love back. So yeah, now i2 Software is i2 Soft. And obviously, I mean, it's summer. It's there aren't so many news right now. Still, before we move on to the learning part, let me show you a cool YouTube channel. It's the CG Spectrum channel, which contains lots of actually very interesting videos from vastly different areas. So you have game development, animation, VFX, even social media tips for artists. Also, alumni sharing their experiences or mentors showing stuff. What's, of course, very, very interesting for us is the co-founder of the Chaos Campus Facebook group, Nicholas Burial, that you see here, because currently he's a department head of 3D visualization at CG Spectrum. And here you can see him actually in very, very different roles, from him being a host at a podcast with a former student with Izem here. A video was uploaded like 4 days ago. Or here talking about visualization, 3D visualization in general, not just ArcViz, just visualization and his own career path. Or here, down here, just a quick 2-minute tutorial on animation. So this channel may actually be very good source of information and inspiration for you. So yeah, gladly check it out. I'll share it in the comments, and you can check it out if you want to. Daniel says, I can confirm i2 customer service is really good. Yeah, they're really good. They're polite. And I think that sometimes if you give them a certain task, it's also new to them and they got to figure it out. And I think they actually enjoy this as well, because especially RailClone, for respect as well, but especially RailClone is a very powerful tool, and you can do so much with it. We know Abdi is doing some tutorials or works a lot with it, and other artists as well. And again, when it comes to helping to customer service, they're really awesome. So yeah, good luck with their new name and new brand. Okay, but that has been enough of news for the summer. That's okay. I think what we can do next is check the official Chaos page. You know the difference. We have the Chaos Campus, which is a Facebook group where we users can be active, share our works, experiences, and so on. And then there is the official Chaos group where only, let's say, official announcements, tutorials, news are being shared, where we as users only go to see stuff and don't really interact with it like the way we do in the Chaos Campus. Nevertheless, there is always great stuff here. Oh, I see Dhanushka joined us. Hi, man. Glad to see you. Amit says, Theo, the Peppa Pig channel might be for your kids, right? Yeah, let's say it's for my kids. Yeah, I like Peppa Pig too, though. Okay, let's take a look at what the Chaos Facebook page has to offer. First, we see something that we were also able to see in our own group. It's a lighting study by Chi-Han. He shared this one in the Chaos Campus, and it was so good of a lighting study, which it actually is, that it was once again shared on the official Chaos channel. Congrats to Chi-Han. We'll talk a bit more about him later, but it's an awesome study. However, what I wanted to show you here is this guide on project rendering by Ricardo Ortiz. And what is this thing about? It's actually, first of all, this article. It's like an article. It describes the general idea behind project renders, especially in comparison to project photography, because oftentimes people may ask themselves, well, why should I invest in modeling something where there is already a prototype and I can just go and photograph it? Well, mostly it's flexibility. This is the reason. It's flexible to build a model from scratch and then put it in different situations rather than photograph it in different situations. This is the truth. Also, in this article, the Chaos Cloud collaboration is briefly mentioned, and this is something I really want to show you. It's currently in a beta version and it's free for you to try it out. Especially if you're a V-Ray user, definitely check it out. It may be really useful to you because you get a very useful and professional way to communicate with your clients. So yeah, definitely check it out. I'll just drop the link in the comments and you can take a look. If it's something for you, if you can collaborate with other artists or communicate with your clients through it, you can do it. Again, it's free. Abdi says new Real clone and forest spec tutorials will follow soon. Of course, Abdi is a true machine. Amit says way to go, and Takur joined us. This is really awesome. Now back to the article. By the end of it, there are tons of examples and images. Really recommend this one because it's a pleasant read and there is always an image to back up what you read. And by the end of it, there is an actual specific example where there is the visualization, the project visualization of this fountain pen that you see here. I see an awesome detail, and then the etui that it is put in using some scan materials. And by the end, it ends up looking really, really cool, if you ask me. So actually, when it comes to project visualization, my thoughts were that next time we do a competition in the group, it would be on project visualization, because it can always happen that you being a 3D artist, even if you mostly do RFIS or whatever automotive, that a client reaches out and says, you know, I have this project, I want it visualized, and it's good to be prepared for this. So it's always nice to have a project visualization example in your portfolio. So yeah, probably the next competition that we'll have, it will be a project visualization one. Okay, enough about this channel. Let's take a look at a tutorial that Abdi shared. It's from the official Chaos Corona channel. It's a 4-minute long video about Chaos Corona to Vantage scene export. They show you how to create this scene very, very briefly. So how to properly export it from Corona to Vantage, how to then properly import it into Vantage and set it up. And then there are even by the end some nice camera and animation tips. And yeah, Vantage is really powerful. I can't wait to get more into it. It came out and then I had to go to Sofia. I had so much work. I have just spent an evening or two so far experimenting with Vantage, but what I see already is absolutely amazing. I don't want to say it's the future, but it's definitely a part of it. Now, if you want to know more about Vantage, there is a longer tutorial. This one, it's called Real-Time Ray Tracing with Corona for 3ds Max and Chaos Vantage, where Nate Skilla for 1 hour explains a lot about, again, how to export from Corona, but it's only 5 minutes of this, and the other 55 minutes are on Vantage. So definitely this isn't only for Corona users interesting, but for Vantage users as well. And it's very much in-depth. And if you are into Vantage, make sure to watch it. It's great. Now I think we talked enough about Corona and Vantage. So let's change the plate and take a look at something else. And in this case, it's VDBs. So our friends over at the Common Point, Arto and Bartosz, they have put out a new lesson, lesson number 21, and it's still about volumetrics and more specifically this time about VDBs. So it's a practical lesson, one with Bartosz, and in it you will learn how to create the scene that we just saw in the beginning, and now I can't find anymore. Anyway, it's this one. So yeah, it's a long one, 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it shows you how to create this scene with help of VDBs, VDB clouds, which is very, very impressive. VDBs I find to be really awesome. I have used them myself, for example, in this scene, you know this project already, and Live, where the smoke of the secret was actually made with a VDB because I wanted to be flexible enough to render from different directions, also to catch some of the light coming from the outside onto the smoke, like you see it here or here, and also use something like blur depth of field, if you have an actual VDB, so actual geometry of smoke and things like this, you can then, of course, treat it as every other object and also have defocusing and everything else with it, and of course volumetric effects, which are awesome. So yeah, VDBs are amazing. I would say this is pretty much advanced knowledge. Still, nevertheless, total recommendation for everyone. And as usual, big thanks to Artur and Bartosz for sharing these. Thank you very much, guys. It's really appreciated. Now, let's talk some AI. And I'll just remove the sound here and take a look at the tutorials that were shared in the group by Abdi and Amit. First one being this tutorial about practical introduction for TIE diffusion by Matt Hallett. It's a 22-minute long video which includes theory and 3 different practical examples. The first one with this metal plate that you see here, the second one with some 3D people, and then there is this seaside, lakeside scene with the people that he also experiments a lot with. Matt himself is very pleasant and knowledgeable. I think he's a Canadian guy. He's been experimenting with AI since the beginning, and I myself have booked his course last year. I think it was Black Friday or something. So definitely check out his channel, Matt Hallett Visual. If you take a look at it, you see that there are lots of videos about AI. He has actually only AI. He also has a page. You can book his course. I'm not making an advertisement here. Just if you're interested, this would be a good address for you. Now let's move on to the second tutorial, which is by Jonas Nö. It's titled TIE Flow, TIE Diffusion AI in 3ds Max. It's approximately the same length, like 19-minute long, and again includes theory, including the setup of TIE diffusion, explanations about ControlNet, and also lots of experiments. He experiments with this ship, another scene of his that he has used for a different tutorial. And yeah, it's again pretty cool. Jonas is another really pleasant and knowledgeable guy. I got the chance to meet him in person in Sofia. He makes V-Ray tutorials on his channel. If you check the channel, you see this. There are tons of really good tutorials. Last time we talked about his nice grass tutorial. And yeah, we'll talk about him more later when we talk about the Chaos Connect event. So let's get back to TIE diffusion. Yeah, if you're interested in this, if you want to learn more about this, then there is a properly called TIE diffusion group. Oh, I forgot to close all of this here. It's called TIE diffusion group on Facebook. You can join it whenever you please, and there are tons of examples there. You see, first thing is by Matt Hallett, and but there are also, again, hundreds of examples by people who are just fooling around with TIE diffusion, experimenting, trying to see how they can get the most out of it. And yeah, it just simply join and learn. Here you can also find some works by Abdi as well. I think this one he shared in the group, but you can also find it in there as well. Yeah, this one. I mean, it's a like 4-minute one, and he starts with a form like this ice form, and with the help of TIE diffusion, it turns out into something like this, which is definitely funky. I think we can all agree. And should you think that TIE diffusion is merely a toy that has no practical or commercial use, well, some of the users in our community, like Nico here, for example, have been using TIE diffusion already. You see, he had to create a scene with his boat by Burj Al Arab. So he prompted this in TIE diffusion, he got a scene, and then he more or less created this scene and turned it into reality. Now, if you say, well, where's the creativity then? This is why I don't like AI. This is a discussion we can lead in the Chaos Campus community, or you can voice your opinion in the chat. We're not promoting stuff here. Of course, this is my show. Let's call it like this. This is our show, but I'm the host. So I just share it's called keeping it realistic, and this is what we do here. We're keeping it realistic. I'm keeping it realistic and sharing my honest opinion with you. I think that AI just is here to stay, like it or not. So I think it's probably better that if this is the case already, that we actually start learning it, or at least give it a chance or a try and see how we can profit from it. That's just my opinion. Now I see Amit has shared something long. He says, also, I would like to add one news that we can now use Stable Diffusion inside Photoshop. Daniel here in this group and live today has his YouTube channel where he has a tutorial showing how to install it and use it inside Photoshop. I even have another artist showing how to use Comfy UI inside Photoshop. And Amit provides the two links for Daniel's tutorial, which is really great. So check out the links. I won't open them now because this always makes some issues. But yeah, nevertheless, this is really great. Thanks for sharing, dear Amit. And I think we should move on. And when it comes to AI, it's not only Tide Diffusion, of course. We have Generative Fill, we have Krea, Magnific, DALL-E, Midjourney, or Krita. For example, Krita personally was new to me, but we have here Carolina, who has experimented with this. She's a groups member. She experiments a lot. You know this. So what she did in this case, she tried out the AI function implemented in Krita in order to enhance the faces of the 3D people that she has rendered. So you see here, some of them are really, really awful. I mean, nothing against this girl, but her skin is frightening. So yeah, let's take a look at the improved, enhanced results, and you can see this is an absolutely definite improvement. This is a total success. Every person, every 3D person now looks way more realistic, like real life human being, which is awesome. The faces are lively, they charismatic, they have an expression, and this is how it should be. Now, when you do something like this, beware for proper masking, because partially, if you take a look at the objects behind the head of this woman, for example, you will see they aren't properly masked. This is why they also change what they are into something which is unrecognizable. Also, make sure to not only mask the faces, but also the clothes and the shoes as well, because you see how realistic the head of this guy looks like, and then you see how his clothes don't really match the realism. Nevertheless, it's a great example. And by the way, if you're an Escape user, you don't or you won't need third-party software for this anymore, because there is the Chaos AI Enhancer, which, by the way, here I can show you Krita, just for the sake of it. If you're interested, this is what Krita is about. It's an open source solution, so you might check it out. But now back to the Chaos AI Enhancer, which is directly integrated into Escape, and with the press of a button, literally, you'll be able to enhance faces and the whole people and greenery. So this is the only thing this enhancer concentrates on: faces, or mostly people as a whole, and greenery. Now, with time, it will be furtherly developed, and for now, it's only for Inkscape, but in future, it may also be available for other Chaos projects such as V-Ray and Corona, which will be, of course, great, because not having to use a third-party software to go a different route and just stay in your render engine and just press a button and then people become realistic sounds really amazing, doesn't it? And by the way, talking about innovation leads me, of course, to today's topic, which is the Chaos Connect event that happened a week ago. And for this, I have prepared a small presentation that I want to show you now. And this is what we will be doing next. I see Amit says Michael also has a live session on using Tide Diffusion with 3ds Max 11 days ago. Yeah, there is a ton of input. I mean, Tide Diffusion is so new, and there are people who are already actually pretty good in it. It's impressive, let's be honest. But yeah, it's time for a PowerPoint presentation and the Chaos Connect Day 2024. Let's see what I've prepared. Please bear with me. I mean, I started preparing this one today. Didn't have time to rehearse it a lot, but I think you enjoy it. So I gotta switch those two and also hide myself properly so that you see my whole screen. I think this time this is how it should be. Um, yeah, and please remind me after the presentation is ready. Please remind me to show myself again if you want to see me. If not, I'll just be talking behind the screen. That will also be okay. So, folks, the Chaos Connect Day 2024. It's an event that took place exactly 1 week ago in Sofia, Bulgaria, my hometown. And with this presentation, I want to make you a part of it. Now, please remember, I'm not a journalist, a blogger, or an influencer. I was there as a guest with no obligations to show something like this. But still, with the upcoming slides, I want to let you experience at least a bit of what I got to experience myself there for those 2 days. And I hope you really, really enjoy it. Please let me know, do you hear me? Do you see it? And if so, let's buckle up and start. So, again, it happens in Sofia. The first day is the Monday before last Tuesday, so Monday, July 15, when everybody was supposed to arrive for the event. So, one day before the official May event. For me, however, the trip started a bit earlier on Sunday because, as I already told you, Sofia is my hometown. This is where my parents live, where I have friends. So I kind of decided to extend my stay there and also took my whole family with me so that the kids can see their grandparents and yeah, so that we can spend a bit of time in Sofia because we haven't been there for 6 years. As you see on the photos, I will start my laser pointer. As you see on the photos, we started with some really sweet summer weather. It was warm but pleasant. And then 2.5 hours flight later, we landed in hell because this is where Bulgaria is. Just so you know, in the darkest dark of this heat wave card. And yeah, they have been having heat waves for a few weeks already with daily temperatures around 36 to 39, 40 degrees. So, long story short, it was really hot in Bulgaria the whole time, just so you know the setting. Now, back to the Monday. In the evening, I arrived at the event location. First thing you see when you come out of the metro station was the Sofia Office Center with the Chaos logo next to it, which was, of course, really, really cool. I shared this on my social media. I think it was on Instagram and had some artists. I think it was Ali Reza who said, well, I hope someday to also get there. And yeah, I shared the feeling. It was very cool. Also, I was able to finally meet Claudio in person. We walked to the hotel, which is really near to the Chaos offices. So you see here is the metro station where the video that you just saw was taken, and this is the building where the Chaos offices are. And if you take this route along the street, this is where the Expo Hotel is, where the guests but also the Chaos speakers were situated at. So yeah, first part of the Chaos Connect Day was a welcome dinner at said hotel where the event guests and the Chaos speakers were staying at. And talking about guests and speakers, there were guests from 10 countries all over the world and also Chaos speakers. The Chaos speakers weren't only from the Bulgarian offices, but also from Germany. We had the CEO, Christian Lang, also Bjorn, Anna, Tatiana from the Karlsruhe headquarters. We had people from the USA, Tom Grimes, Cam Starr, Phil Miller, Roderick Bates. Also from Italy, you remember Darlene Alvar? I told you about her. This was the awesome director of communications. This lady, I shared my concerns regarding the very first Chaos Unboxed online event, who listened to me, who was really open about this criticism, let's call it. And it was a real great pleasure to meet her there as well. Now, as for the Expo Hotel itself, surely this isn't the most beautiful building you've seen in your life. However, on the inside, things look a bit different. It's actually really, really nice. And this was the location for the welcome dinner. We were situated in the backyard, and despite the heat, because this was around 7 p.m. in the evening, but at this point it's still around 35, 36 degrees. But despite the heat, it was a pleasure to sit outside in the backyard because there was so much shadow there. So yeah, I see Amit says, "Wow, all the great artists together, Chiro, Mike, Theo, Tom, Jonas, Vlado, Claudio, and all the others. Wish I also get the chance one day to meet all of you guys. This would be awesome. I hope that someday we're big enough and important enough that we actually made something like a Chaos Campus meetup. This would be really awesome. I'll definitely root for it in front of Chaos. Okay, so yeah, this is also where Claudio and I took the photo. I sent it a Keeping It Realistic chat, and you ended up providing constructive feedback for. This was really fun. This was very, very cool on your side. It's just we were the first there, so we used the time to take a selfie while waiting for the others and also catch up. Claudio is an extremely pleasant guy, and it's awesome to talk with him. But yeah, obviously later on all the others joined. We sat together, talked a lot. You see here Louis from Narrative. He's just next to Tom Grimes. The photo was cut, so this is why I put him separately. And then Tom Grimes, Mike, Nikos, and in the back we see some of the awesome Chaos folks. And yeah, again, we talked a lot about every possible topic which wasn't 3D. Of course, we also mentioned 3D, but we also talked a lot about kids, movies, the weather, wine, food, everything possible. And it was a really laid-back atmosphere, great setting to get to know each other. Even if you're completely new to all of those people, you won't have any issue getting to know them or feeling nice in this situation. Of course, I knew a lot of them already, some in person, like Nikos. Others I knew because we have talked, like Tom Grimes or Mike, obviously, or Louis I also knew. So yeah, it was a very, very pleasant dinner. Amit says that's a great idea, Chaos Campus meetup. A Chaos Campus meetup would be totally great. I'm all in for it. Yeah, but we didn't stay very long, obviously, because the next day we had to all be very fit. So soon, it was around 11 or something, it was time for me to head back home to get, a good beauty sleep and be fresh for the next day. So I took my metro, which, by the way, was completely empty. And you must imagine, Sofia is like a 2 million people city. So being alone in public transportation felt kind of surreal, honestly. But yeah, this is why I'm sharing this again. I'm trying to share a bit of my experience with the whole thing rather than being here promotional or too informational about everything. I just want you to get a glimpse of what I experienced and maybe feel a part of it. And this is why I share photos like this as well. But anyway, it's time to move on to the day of the major event. So yeah, Sofia, day 2, the big event, the actual Chaos Connect day. So yeah, the day started pretty early, July 16th. This is a photo I took in the metro. You see how the metro usually looks like in Sofia. In the morning, obviously, it's more packed than during the day, but I had never experienced this as empty as you saw it on the previous photos. So yeah, now back to the event. The event itself was set to begin at 9 in the morning, and as you can see here on the schedule, it's a very packed program that we had, starting at 9 and going until 10:30 in the evening. So we had really, really a lot in front of us on this day. So yeah, here you see me. I, of course, living at my parents' house, I had to take the metro there. Of course, I could have taken a taxi, but I actually, when I'm in Sofia or in any city, I actually very much enjoy just traveling with public transportation or walking in order to experience the city. And I think with a taxi, you often miss so much of the flair, of the atmosphere of it. So yeah, I took the metro. It's actually very clean. It's very quick. It's always comes on time, so it was an easy ride for me. For the others, they were in the hotel 6 minutes away from the Chaos offices. So for them, they didn't have to get up as early as I did. Not a complaint though, it was an absolute pleasure. Now, if you've ever asked yourself what it is to stay in front of the Chaos headquarters in Sofia, this is what it looks like. You see, there are in this Sofia office center, there are also other companies as well, like Festo must be a name, and of course the biggest one, it's Chaos. It was really, really cool. I know that a lot of us artists will really enjoy being there and feel very special for it, and definitely this is how I felt as well. It was really, really awesome. Daniel says, very cool and interesting. Thanks for sharing. It's absolutely my pleasure. You can take my word for it. So yeah, once you enter the building, you're given a visitor ID and sent up with the elevator to the 14th floor. I was number 34, even though I was the first there. I don't know, it's just a random number. Doesn't really matter. And in the 14th floor, when you come out of the elevators, this is what you see. So this is more or less the common areas, looking left, looking right. So really cool, creative, common area atmosphere. You see that this is not like a bank or I don't know, something politician, something official. It's creative people who work there, and all of their surroundings are also creative as well. It looks like a visualization, actually. So yeah, here is another glimpse. This is the, let's call it, a backstage area where later at noon we had the buffet, which is another really cool space. I very much enjoyed staying there. And again, you see a lot of creativity just from the interior design alone. And this is the presentational room that you see here behind us. The people. This is Camstar, then myself, Mike, Nikos, Chirusanino. You probably know Chirusanino, the 5-step render workflow. The person who came, the artist who came with the 5-step render workflow. I myself have been his part of his course. I have bought his course. I have also bought his books. You can see them behind me when my camera is turned on. Awesome guy as well. Everybody has been really awesome. In the back, you see Peter and Rumi from Chaos. And up in the corner, what you see here is actually the view from my seat. So this is the presentation area where the speaker stays and the presentation wall behind them. And on every seat, there was an awesome bag with gifts for each guest. This photo is by Björn Wittenberg, a Chaos employee, great guy. Personally, I consider this to be an awesome act of appreciation on the side of Chaos. Inside, there was some really cool stuff and also very current weather oriented. I told you about it being 36 to 40 degrees outside. But I won't spoil what was in it because this week on Thursday, Mike will also have his show. And in it, he will show you what was in this bag. So yeah, we can just move forward now. And at 9:30, exactly on time as it should be, the event began with the CEO, Christian Lang, and the Chief Project Officer, Camstar, introducing us, the guests, introducing the topics of the day, and of course talking about Chaos in general. But it wasn't like a corporate or a media talk. It was just a very nice and warm greeting to all of us, an introduction to the whole day. And also it was over like in a few minutes, and then the actual presentation started. Mike says, hey, thank you, Theo. It's so nice. Mike, glad to see you here. It was awesome to see you there in person as well. I hope you stay for the presentation at least, because I think there are probably 10 photos where you are to be seen. Okay, so at 10, the next presentation, or the first actual presentation, started. It was about Inkscape. The director corporate development, Roderick Bates, and the vice president solutions for designers, Petr Minev, took the stage and showed us a lot about Inkscape. As you know, I'm not an Inkscape user myself, but honestly, I found the presented capabilities and features of Inkscape really cool, so much so that I actually wished I had these two back in time when I was actively working as an architect, because Inkscape is actually quite solid, and it's also kind of a part of your CAD workflow. There are these two main areas. There is the AEC area, so the architecture, engineering, and construction area, and then the M&E area, which is the media and entertainment area. We are more, I think, in the media and entertainment area because we present stuff. But in the architecture, engineering, and construction area is more about where stuff is created or concepted. And having Inkscape in this phase is actually very, very convenient, in my opinion. I really enjoyed the real-time interaction with the 3D model that you see in the video here, especially with this sketch or toon optic on it. This, believe me, and I'm talking from a standpoint of an architect here, but something like this is extremely convenient, especially in the design phase. When you want to show your client a concept and you don't want them to get stuck on some minor detail like the color of the vase or something like this. So if you are able to just go through the volumes of a concept, it's really, really cool. Mike says, did you cut out the top secret stuff? Well, we'll see. If not, then I have those NDAs that will get off my head afterwards, but I hope I did. Also, I already mentioned this thing, but Inkscape has this built-in Chaos AI enhancer that improves the looks of 3D people and greenery, which is awesome. There are some really good examples that you can see. The good news is, again, that this tool is being furtherly developed, and once it's generally more advanced, it will most likely be available for V-Ray and Corona as well. And I think that when I say more advanced, probably then it won't concentrate only on people and greenery, but maybe also on the architecture or the materials, reflections, and everything else, stuff like Stable Diffusion or Magnific does. But we don't know about this. These are just my assumptions, so take them with a grain of salt, please. The next topic, which started at 11 a.m., it was about V-Ray, the V-Ray Empowered. We had Philip Miller, the Vice President, Product Manager at Chaos, as well as Ivan Shaikov and Alexander Atanasov from Chaos, tell us about some V-Ray innovations and even show us a bit of V-Ray for Blender, what you see here on the image. Phil Miller demonstrated some really cool new features coming to V-Ray. So for those of you who are V-Ray users, you have really something to look forward to. First of all, the luminaries, what you see here. So you see it's the same illumination. However, done the old way, let's call it, it renders for 15 minutes. Done with the new ways, with the luminar, it's only 2 minutes. So it's almost 8 times faster, which is of course amazing. Also polygon region renders, which, I mean, just think about it. Right now, if we want to re-render something, we have to define a certain region with a rectangle. But now just imagine you were able to just draw a polygon and only re-render the things that you really need and not everything around them. This is an absolute time saver, and this is something to absolutely look forward to. And also, custom models will be introduced at some point to the Cosmos library, which is a feature a lot of us have been looking forward to and will be definitely awesome. And last but not least, the Gaussian splats, which is a form of a rendered photogrammetry. You see the point cloud here, which is definitely very exciting, also very realistic. Just take a look at this image up here. But yeah, let's move on, because I didn't want to make this promotional or too technical. I just want to give you a glimpse of what happened. Mike says, oh my God, you're so right. I once lost a week just fixing sofa shade for a client. Yeah, this is the way it is. I know this. Yeah, well, after this presentation, it was actually time for a lunch break with the option to try out some of the new features that were presented beforehand in the test lab, which was more or less the buffer space between the presentation room and the backstage area where the buffet was. Obviously, as you see, I concentrate here on the buffet. I'm not sure how this word is pronounced. I pronounce it differently every time, but you see, it's food for lunch. Nevertheless, it was really awesome. There was something for everyone, for meat eaters, for vegetarians, for vegans. and everything tested really, really good. I also took the time to take some photos from the terrace in the 14th floor of this building so that you see what Chaos employees see when they take a small break and have a smoke or a coffee or just get out. But unfortunately, again, it was like midday. It was around 40 degrees already, so it was too hot to stay on the outside. So I just walked back in to talk to people. And here is the moment to say that I still haven't met an unpleasant person from Chaos. No matter if a CEO, some huge talent behind the awesome project innovations, or the person who took care of the lunch that you just saw, everyone's been nothing but pleasant and genuinely friendly. And believe me, I'm critical when it comes to stuff from Bulgaria. There is a lot of things that I don't like or didn't like in Bulgaria. This is the reason I left for Germany. But chaos is one of those sunbeams that bring me back the hope in this country, because everyone has been so professional, so nice, so friendly, really, really. I mean, Mike's in the comments. Mike, what do you think about this? Please share this. Also, Mike says, okay, you made so many good shots there. I love it. Yeah, these shots here look like visualizations. It was an easy one. I mean, you have sunny weather, which, as you know, always makes it easier to take shots because the shutter is very, very quick to close. And also, we have some awesome contrasts here and great view. So, yeah, but glad you like those, though. So, yeah, let's continue. After our lunch break was over, it was time. It was around 2 p.m. already, so it was time to head to Vlado himself. For those who maybe don't know who this is, it's Vladimir Kuivazov, the co-founder of Chaos, um, and take a look at Project Arena. This was awesome for multiple reasons. First of all, Vlado, and second, Project Arena itself, which is really, really cool. I think that Mike was very interested in it. I actually have more photos. I didn't include them here, but there were a lot of photos with Mike just experimenting, taking selfies and stuff. You see him here in the front, very, very interested and carefully listening to Vlado. And yeah, Project Arena is actually extremely cool. What it does is allow you to harmoniously integrate a real life scene into a rendered environment, with all the proper lighting, reflections, and refractions, which obviously allows for incredible flexibility. You see here, Vlado will pour a glass of water here, and you see it here in the captured video. It's absolutely integrated into the digital background with all the refractions, with a similar light and everything. It's just more or less as if it's like the real project is part of the scene. And I think it works great. It's currently being tested all over the world. Mike says, I only wish they moved that darn table. I wanted to be in the TV. Yeah, I know. I know you wanted to. I also wanted that, but yeah. Still, it was amazing to see. So this was this scene. This was the setup. It needs a lot of computer power, as you can see, and this is a small setup here. But yeah, I see it definitely be a part of the future, also in cinema, in advertisement, in 3D animations and whatnot. It's really, really cool and impressive, actually. Um, then we went back to the 14th floor because Project Arena was actually on the 10th floor for the last round of presentations starting at 3 p.m. And it was the Chaos Innovations time. Here you see Phil explaining us the processes that get shorter or entirely skipped with some of the new innovations. And if somebody will understand this like, yeah, I knew it, AI will take my job. No, it's not what this here depicts. It's actually something different. It's just optimizing processes and making it easier for the artists and not skipping them or them losing them jobs or something. So yeah, it started off with Tom Grimes, the Corona project manager, talking about the newly released Corona 12 and the future plans for Corona 13, which is meant to come by the end of this year. But again, take this one again with a grain of salt, because you know, you never know. What I saw there is that quality is important for chaos. So they want just if Corona 13 isn't ready by the end of the year, they won't release it. They will make it ready and then release it next year or something. I don't know. So um, again, don't take this with a grain of salt, but I think if it happens, we will have had two major releases, Corona 12 and Corona 13, within 1 year, which would be awesome because every new release has some major innovations and improvements, which is great for us artists. Mike says, "Woo, go Tom!" Yeah, Tom's awesome. Then the presentation continued with Phil talking about anima. This was, for me at least, the first time that I was properly introduced to anima. Yeah, I would actually gladly share this knowledge with you because there are many types of 3D people within anima, and sometimes it's difficult to understand what the differences between them are. Um, so yeah, first we have the post people, which who have very very high quality to them, but are completely static. Then we have the ambient people who have lower general quality and very very simple short loop movements. So these are the people for very short animations. Where you just have something short, simple, and you want somebody to not be completely static. This is what you get those people for. Next, we have the rigged people who have a skeleton and skin. Obviously, they're rigged, which are for crowd making with the Anima app, and also they're the only ones who can climb stairs. I'm not sure about ladders, but stairs. Next, we have the 4D humans that are very detailed and animated in long 20-second looping animations. So they are more or less like the post people, very, very high quality of the mesh and the texture, but also very high quality animated. And in the end, we have the 4D walking people, which are more or less the same as the 4D humans, but instead of doing something random, they just walk. So they can follow paths with the Anima app. So finally, I'm happy that I understood it, how this works. So, and yeah, in future, because Anima is now a part of Chaos, and in the future, all your Anima assets will be available directly through Chaos, which I think is actually pretty convenient. And in terms of innovations, it's also so that in some future, I cannot say near or distant, animated vehicles will also be a part of Anima, which I think will make the process for a lot of people who are into animation really, really easier. Daniel says it won't be ready because they will be working on Escape. Well, we'll see. Amit says, great news, two major releases in a year. Wow. Mike says, NDA will not allow me to tell you details, but expect more. No hints. We signed an NDA, Amit. Okay, let's move on to Kalina. Kalina Manova, she's the director of project management at Chaos. She showed us around the Chaos Cloud. We already talked about this in the news section or the learning section. And the cloud is already great, actually, because it's offering you this platform for 3D presentations in form of virtual tours, so with 360 panoramas, with hotspots and everything, directly from V-Ray and Corona, and soon also from Escape. And in future, there will be this project Vista, which will be about direct 3D streaming. So you will be able to upload 3D scenes directly from your render engine and stream them in a browser, which, as the way I imagine it, will be awesome because it will make collaborations with other artists and communication with the client so much easier. You see the meme here in the top corner, the client is like, wow, great design, I'm impressed. The design is almost dying, and then the client is like, yeah, but I want some changes, and then designer dies. So yeah, I think it will still be like this in future, just a bit quicker. And once again, the cloud is currently free, so definitely give it a try. I know I surely will. And the last presentation was from Vado himself, again talking about some innovations currently in the works, starting with his automatic asset placement, which is a tool to populate your scenes with fitting furnishing from the Cosmos library with the help of a prompt. So you select the floor area and you say, okay, modern office, whatnot, and then Cosmos library assets are put into the scene following certain rules that make sense regarding distances and arrangement and everything. So yeah, it's very promising. Yeah, we gotta see it. I mean, we saw it in action, but we gotta see it when it's ready. How much it actually is capable of. But of course, it would be really promising, and I think that it can deliver ideas and save time, especially in some situations. Next, we have the lifestyle image integration, which is allowing us to place pre-rendered objects in AI-generated surroundings, which surely is great for Cylindo users. And there were a few examples. Some of them work better than others, but generally it's quite convenient. And finally, the material generator, which is an AI tool that will help create texture maps from a prompt. Again, very, very promising. Personally, I know that there are some artists out there who fear that this will take away all the pleasure from creating proper materials from scratch. I don't think this will be the case because, first of all, it doesn't create the whole material, it creates the texture maps for a material. So you gotta create the material yourself in the end, at least in the current state. And secondly, I think that it will not replace. I mean, if you have the time to create a proper material, you'll probably do so. But if you're in a hurry and you want to create something which is, just to deliver a project or something, I think this is where this material generator can help a lot. Of course, it very much depends on how much it is developed, but I think that it won't replace anything. It will just conveniently add to what we already have. And actually, that was already it with this scene or with the official part of the Chaos Connect Day. It says Theo is Daniel in the white shirt. Yes, yeah, that's Daniel from Render Camp. He sat in front of us the whole time. Yeah, so now we had a bit of free time on our hands. So obviously, we started taking photos or going to the test lab. Here, I promised you to see Mike, Claudio, yours truly, and especially for you, Diha Amit, Jonas Null, here laughing for a photo. By the way, he lives probably an hour and a half away from where I live. So I definitely consider inviting him over, even maybe for a show or just so. I mean, just so I have already invited him here to visit us with his family, but I actually consider inviting him as a co-host or co-reviewer for a show. So if you're down for this idea, let me know. I think it would be pretty cool. Yeah, next. Here, of course, once you're there on an event like this, you got to take the opportunity and, do what you got to do, even though usually I'm not somebody who takes selfies with other people, but in this case, I had to. So you see here with Phil Miller and Cam Star, and of course with Vlado, who, by the way, is just, I mean, I think sorry, I don't know who from Chaos who is going to watch this, but my personal opinion is that Vlado is genius, or if not, he's very close to one, because this is a person who co-established Chaos and came up with V-Ray. The V in V-Ray stands for Vlado actually, and he comes up with so awesome innovations and stuff, and he's such a somebody like this, I would expect to radiate self-esteem and be like, the ego in the room. But he's the actual opposite, almost shy guy. He's yeah, it's awesome to meet him. It was absolute genuine pleasure. And also, this is where this video was taken. It's very improvised, but still, you don't have to listen to me, but you have to listen to him. Mike says to describe what do you need to say genius and stop there. There is no other description. Yeah, maybe this is just the best way. So this is why I'll gladly play um, what he says to the Chaos Campus community.
day today where we invite a few people and we show them what we are working on behind the scenes and upcoming features of products and stuff. So it was a really cool event. But I want to thank all of you for being part of the community and good luck.
And we want to thank you, Vado. It was absolutely awesome. It was an honor to meet you in person. Yeah, Mike says he's so humble yet confident person. Oh, there was no sound. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought that you would be able to hear the sound. Yeah. Anyway, this was his talk about his message for the chaos campus community. You can see it. I uploaded it immediately after we took this one. I uploaded it in the group. So if you have missed it, just go and watch it there. But yeah, he's awesome, just awesome. Okay, now enough about this. Let's after we were finished in the chaos offices, we turned into casual tourists and took an organized trip to Sofia with a bus, which was again organized by Chaos. It wasn't mandatory. Some people didn't want to join because it was too hot for them. But I mean, even though it was a bit awkward having a guided tour through your own city, the city you were born in and raised in, I still wanted to tag along because it's been a pleasure to be around all those awesome people. Here again, you see Mike all the time. Um, yeah, and so the tour started at the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral in the city center, pretty much. And yeah, took us on a pleasant tour through the old city. You see here a park, you see some old buildings in historic Sofia. So yeah, I was pleased with the way my hometown looked like after 6 years. Um, it looks European in the meantime, and it's a city that I would actually wholeheartedly recommend. If you have the chance to visit it, go do so. Mike says, "Oh my God, you took such amazing photos." Well, thank you, Mike. I I didn't want to spend this event how some people spend some concerts. They pack out their phone and then just they watch the concert through their phone. I think this sucks. I don't like this. But in this case, again, I had my inner obligation to show to the Chaos Campus community what we went through with this Chaos Connect Day, and I wanted to make the people here get a part of the emotion that we were lucky enough to get ourselves. So this is why I took photos like this. Mine look like taken by a monkey compared to yours, Mike. No, I'm sure they don't, but I'll take a look at them later. So yeah, and after the tour was done, the bus brought us to the Grand Millennium Hotel. This is not a photo of mine. This is one from the internet, where we took the elevator to the 30th floor. Mike has a very cool a video from the elevator ride. I hope he shows it on his webinar on Thursday. But yeah, we were up here. And there were some amazing views, as you may imagine. This is again a photo of mine. This was the only photo that I didn't take myself. So yeah, this there were some amazing views. This, by the way, is where my parents live, so it wasn't far away from home. But to me, it was something entirely new. I've never been this high up in my hometown, so seeing it from this high up was truly special. I haven't tried to take a video. It probably um, isn't especially great quality, but nevertheless, I don't know also what happens with my focus here. But still, you can see a bit of Sofia from the 30th floor. That's how it looks like. This is the terrace. And yeah, obviously there was a lot of networking there, but it didn't feel like a commercial event, but more like just friends hanging out together. I don't know, Mike. What do you think about it? This is at least how I felt. I see Simão says very beautiful photos. Amit says through your presentation, it felt we also attended the event ourselves. Thank you for sharing this beautiful piece of experience. If this is the case, Amit, I'm very, very happy because this was my goal all the time. This is why it takes so long. I'm probably talking for 40 minutes now, but I really wanted you to experience a part of this. So yeah, and again, really, really pleasant talk. Sitting on the terrace there with Tom, Andre Lewis from Trojan Horse is a unicorn, Claudio, and later we were also joined by Vuado himself, talking about, Lemmy Kilmister, music, computer games, movies, fast food restaurants, every other topic in the world. It's just a memory for a lifetime, and I absolutely loved every single minute of this. This is the very last photo I took. Most were already gone. Mike, you were gone by this point because a lot of the attendees had to catch their planes early in the morning. So the final round consisted of Baldwin, Tom Grimes, Phil Miller, Cam Starr, and then again Daniel from Render Camp and Jonas. And yours truly, of course, taking the photo, and it was amazing. It was great. Mike says, I had a brain lag when Theo said he went back and I didn't see him in our hotel. Then I just realized that he's Bulgarian. As per the party, everybody was there knowing we have lots of interesting personalities. I honestly talked the whole evening to Margarita, Nikita, and Steven from Show It Better. Lovely people. Yeah, Mike was in an entirely different group, so he'll have a different experience to share with you on his webinar on Thursday. But yeah, to sum it up, the event was perfectly organized. Everything was on time. We were taken perfect care of. It was informational without being boring or too promotional. Actually, it was really interesting and exciting to sit there and to listen to all of those ideas and innovations Chaos has for the future. And everyone involved, both the guests and the Chaos team, were more than friendly. And again, this is a memory I will cherish for a lifetime. Big up to everyone who made it possible, and of course, huge thanks for the invitation and for making me a part of this. It was awesome. So yeah, this was the end, folks. I hope what Amit said is what you also experienced with this one. That I managed to take you on this trip with me, so that you see how an event like this looked like, and I absolutely enjoyed being there, and I also very much enjoyed sharing the experience with you here today. So now, after an hour and 10 minutes, maybe it's time to start doing some actual reviewing work. I see Mike says, Theo, can I borrow your presentation? Well, people already saw it, but I think I'm very eager to see yours on Thursday, because we spend a lot of time together there, seeing things together, but everybody's different, and I'm sure that even though you probably agree with a lot of the things that I just said or shared, you have your own view on them. So I'm definitely be there on Thursday to hear you talk about the event and Chaos Corona 12, of course. But yeah, glad you liked it, Mike. So let's take a sip of water. I'll show myself again. Here I am, and let's review some works. We'll start with Abraham's work that we weren't able to review on the last show because unfortunately his account got hacked in the very last moment. So now today we'll try again. Cautiously, I will just try to enlarge it. It works. So this time everything's here and we can talk about this work. Mike says, I love it. And Amit, Mike, now we want to relive the experience through your eyes. Abdi says, lovely. Thanks a world for sharing. I really hope you enjoyed it, guys. I really did. I really did. So, okay, let's see what Abe Abraham has to say about his work. Finished render of an Asian duplex row house. I created a daytime render of this house model using V-Ray's Light Gen feature, a tool that is incredibly easy to use, providing users with a multitude of beautiful lighting options to choose from without the need for manual work. Users can select their desired lighting scenarios from presented thumbnails and continue rendering interactively. This is the tool, the LightGen tool, which is a part of V-Ray for SketchUp, and which is actually amazing, and I'm not sure why we don't have it in Corona and in other instances of those render engines because this looks really, really convenient. Populating the scene, I used V-Ray Chaos Cosmos browser where you can get truly high quality components. Also, I added some Laubwerk for some plants. Still, Laubwerk is very satisfying to use. Heads off to this Laubwerk plants kit. Last time the presentation was still there, so I also showed you Laubwerk. This is this German studio that I also have some sets of plants from. Really good, I can admit. So the project title is Asian Duplex Row House, rendered and visualized by Abraham in V-Ray for SketchUp. So yeah, let's talk about it. Obviously, what we have here is awesome description, very informative because the workflow is explained, and not only the project itself, but the workflow, and this is something that everybody profits from. And regarding the image presentation, definitely visually consistent, and also like those cool comparisons between model and final render. It's something like this is always welcome in a learning educational community like this one. So let's talk about the good stuff first. So modeling, yeah, probably not among the best parts of this work, but still offers a very solid foundation. I really like how you've used random vehicle assets, also facing in different directions and occasionally leaving a blank spot here, which makes for an authentic appearance of the whole scene. Also, when it comes to the scattering, looks quite nice, especially the foreground. I assume this is the Laubwerk set. It looks really awesome. But also the scattering in the back is quite solid as well. Material-wise, the materials I find to be generally okay, some better than others for sure. What I enjoy the most are the materials on the street and the driveway. They look quite real authentic and realistic. And framing and lighting wise is probably where you did the best job. I'm sorry, wrong direction. Where you did the best job when it comes to the framing. What we have here is something which in photography is called repeating shapes. And shapes like this, you gotta cut off at some point. This is what you deliberately do. You don't show the whole thing, you cut it off at some point, because this leaves the impression of this endless continuity, which can be very, very tranquilizing to look at. So yeah, I searched for some examples of such repeated forms and patterns. This is what you see here. And I want to share with you, screw you, I gotta just refresh this one and then it will work. I want to share with you this article on how to use repetition and patterns in photography. It's very, very short. Actually, this was the whole of it, 2 minutes, nothing more. But I think that this could be useful because, as you know, it's important that we are actually knowledgeable and know some theory next to have our practical knowledge. So yeah, what you did here with the framing is the exactly right thing on both shots, the angled one and the other one. You just cut those repeated shapes, providing this tranquil feeling of endless continuity, which is always a pleasure to look at. Also, the sky to ground and building ratio feels balanced. On the previous show, we talked about Ali Reza's work, and he had something similar here. So you have a lot happening down here, so it makes sense to extend the cropping of your sky up in order to make the image look a bit more lightweight and not so packed. Regarding the lighting, it's simple yet really impactful. It's definitely suits this scene. It creates a truly pleasant summer mood. And again, let's not forget the light shadow interplay. In this case, we have those overhanging roofs over these entrance areas that shelter them. And if you want to show it, a great way to do so is to use light and shadow for that. Because in general, this just emphasizes the forms of the building, which is the right approach in this current situation. Now, what can be improved? Obviously, the modeling, it feels very rudimentary. If we take a look at it up close, you see that everything's very blocky. Definitely needs more constructional and architectural detail in general. And also gladly more everyday life assets such as doorbells, a post box, some potted plants next to the entrances. This just makes everything more lively, more realistic. And when it comes to the variety, because we're talking about modeling here, when it comes to the variety of those outdoor areas, there are multiple things that you can address here. So starting with the driveways, you already did nice by scattering different cars, leaving a blank driveway. However, you can go further here. So you can place a scooter or a bicycle, maybe instead of a car somewhere. You can, on an empty spot, you can place a football or a stroller or a road garden hose. All of these elements would add a layer of storytelling to your image and make the whole concept more relatable to a wider audience. Let's say you have a stroller here, a baby stroller, okay, somewhere on the outside, or a football. This will mean that probably a kid lives there, so that the whole this residential area or these residential buildings are open for families. So you get new clients, new potentially interested buyers this way. When it comes to the front gardens themselves, they're kind of quite sameish. So what you can easily do here is add more variation to the plants. Currently, they are facing in different directions, but where you can also vary is the size of the plants and of course the types. But if they have to be the same type, then what I recommend is to go and buy a set of the same plants in 3 variations or create your own if you can do it parametrically. This would be, of course, awesome, but not everybody is capable to. If you're not, you can just buy a set where there are 2 or 3 different renditions of the same plant, and then you can scatter those. When it comes to the street, you should also add proper curbs, because nobody will build a marble continuous curb like this. So it will be just very difficult to make and very expensive as well. Also, scatter some leaves. There is so much greenery here, so there will be leaves on the street. And maybe put something in the foreground, because currently we have this meadow, which is okay. But again, you can add a bit of a more storytelling through some shrubs, through a parked bicycle. Maybe I can show you an example here. This project, where is it? Where is it? This one. Let's take a look at the very first scene. So you see how there are some shrubs and there is a parked bicycle. Of course, they are out of focus because they are not so important in this case. What we want to concentrate and focus on is the buildings. But nevertheless, by adding those subtle elements in the front, you add a bit to the atmosphere, to the mood, and to the storytelling. Because, of course, I have, I think, 6 parking spots here, but you see, I didn't park 6 cars. It's not that I don't have 6 cars in my library. This was before Chaos Cosmos. Nevertheless, I have more than 6 cars in my library. But I decided to just park 2 cars, then park, how is this thing called? A scooter, and then some bicycles. Why is that? Because this is a subliminal message. It's if somebody sees this, they will know, oh, okay, if all the parking spots were full, people will think, whoa, a lot of cars, there are a lot of vehicles, it's probably noisy and dirty. But if you have many bicycles, then people know, oh, okay, it's probably like a more green area where it's more silent one, more laid back. So yeah, there are those subliminal messages in your images, want it or not. So make sure to get them right. Back here, yeah, this was when it comes to the street. Now, the third thing you can do is obviously add interiors, because on the outside we have parked cars, but on the inside there is nothing. Doesn't really make sense. So what you can do, or what you should do here, I think, is to hint some actual inner life. You can do this easily with the help of the Cosmos library. Just put some curtains, but also plants, wall decorations, a lamp here and there, wall art, and then it should do the trick. And when it comes to car assets, I saw Amit says something, the shiny metallic car can be replaced with more subtle model. It's just popping out right now. This is exactly what I also wanted to say. It's not very realistic. It looks like something you'll find in Dubai, some kind of a golden whatever from a sheikh. And this doesn't look like the residency where a sheikh lives. So I would go with more common, more family-oriented, more everyday cars, to show that this is not too expensive. I remember at some point on a project, it was a different one, I made a Porsche, like parked it in a garage, This project, it was, for this shot, I parked the Porsche in this garage here because Porsches, they're not very high. They're quite low cars, so you can see more from the garage above them. So this is what I made, and I remember the clients were like, "Yeah, I like everything about this image. I'll just take it the way it is. But one thing you gotta change. You gotta swap the Porsche for a more common car." And I thought a lot about this, and they were absolutely right. If you show a Porsche here, people will think that living there is just very expensive because only really wealthy people can afford a Porsche. If you show a Volkswagen, then people know that it's more affordable. Even a 3D artist can afford a Volkswagen. So yeah, back to your work. When it comes to the materials, here a lot of the materials look really, really basic. The stucco, the roof tiles, the stone cladding here, which obviously takes away a lot of realism. So gladly concentrate more on this texture creation phase to achieve more realistic looking materials. Remember, you have the own render engine library materials, you have the Cosmos library, and there are also tons of material libraries online. So there is input out there for you to use it. And I know you're somebody who likes to make things work. I remember that you shared a project where you reworked an old project of yours, the pool water in it, and made it realistic as it should be. So you can do the same with the materials here. But yeah, with this being said, this is a good project. I really like it. Gladly work on the topics that we discussed, and I think you can take this actually to the next level because you have a very solid base to build upon. And one more thing, keep being awesome and sharing your knowledge and experience and insights with the group the way you do now. It is really appreciated. You don't just, post, "This is my latest work." You actually describe the process of the creation of those images, and everybody profits from it. Now, we will continue with Dhanushka's work, but I think I have to get up and close my window before the room gets flooded because suddenly we have a pretty big rainstorm. Sorry for a second. So it's been 33 shows, and I think it's the first time you actually see me stand up. So a premiere. Let's call it like this. Okay. Dhanushka's work is actually Dhanushka in collaboration with Telina. So yeah, very interesting one. Let's see how Dhanushka describes the outcome of this collaboration. Hi guys, it's been a long time since my last post. I'm super excited about this one. The project is very close to my heart, and I still couldn't believe I get to collaborate with none other than Telina. I won't read Telina's surname because I can't. Aya brother, thank you very much for the opportunity. This is a commercial project that we did for Telina's client. Client wanted to see how the interior would look before they go into the construction phase. Makes a lot of sense. And also to have a clear direction on what they want to do with the space. I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. I would like to get feedbacks from you guys and hoping you would enjoy it as much as I did. Hope have a lovely day. Software use 3ds Max and Chaos Corona. So obviously another awesome description. I love the backstory here. Seeing Dhanushka's excitement makes me really happy. By the way, shows a very healthy self-esteem on his side. While studying architecture, it was very strange to see the other folks that I studied with who never really felt like they can compliment a fellow architectural student because, I don't know, for some reason it felt like if they do so, they will move into a kind of a submissive role, like they will admit that they are lesser of an architect or not as talented as somebody else. So they didn't. They were polite. They would say, "Oh, nice," but they would never be the way Dhanushka was here, who says, "I still cannot believe I collaborated with Telina." And to me, actually, this is an example of strength, of good self-esteem, of a lack of inferiority complex, where you can just go out there and say, hey, you're awesome. We're maybe on the same level, maybe you're a better artist. And I really enjoy the working with you or for you. And it's an honor to me. To me, this is a great attitude, and it's a pleasure to see them. And also, it's a pleasure to see two artists from the group collaborate. It's great. As for the image presentation, it's awesome. We have great variation in the angles and also absolute visual consistency. So yeah, let's dive in. Danushka, I saw you in the comments earlier, so I hope you're still there. If not, you watch the recording. Before we start, let me show you. This is the villa, which the exterior is made as a concept by Tilina. And this is the villa where the client wanted to see how the interior will look like before they start actually implementing them, which again makes a lot of sense. So my general impression here is that Tilina made the right decision who to collaborate with. It's a quality work. I think we can all agree on this. You know what you're doing, Danushka. So I would say let's simply dive directly into the single shot. We'll start with this kitchen and living area. I think it's the bottom, the ground level, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's a tree house. So the bottom or ground level is somewhere here, just so you better understand why we're so high up in the trees. So definitely we got to start with the design. It's nice, it's unique. We have a round floor plan, which is actually difficult to work with. Architectural students know what I'm talking about. Every one of us at some point tried to work with a rounded or circular ground floor and never did it again. So yeah, but in this case, it seems like it works, and it's definitely something else for sure. When it comes to the modeling, to me it looks great, very clean. Materials gotta complement these sofa and bar stool material. Let's zoom in on it. It looks very authentic, very realistic. I love that you also shared the settings of the material in the comments. Alessia asked you, and you actually made a screenshot of your material setup. This is awesome. This is what we all profit from. It's actually a fairly simple setup, but it looks amazing. What you did here differently is, as people will see, you have no displacement map here. Instead, you use the Corona displacement modifier on your actual geometry. And yeah, I mean, this is actually a good thing. I think it was the smart thing to do because going this road, you can keep the displacement quality, the subdivision quality of your displacement in the general quality options at 2. So a bit lower, and you can only make the quality better where it matters. So in this case, on the sofa, on the bar stool, where you also have close-ups. So yeah, and also you have a bit more options here, a bit more flexible. So I think you made only the right decision when it comes to these materials specifically. The lighting here, the lighting is beautiful. Good job balancing out natural and artificial illumination. I love that lively depot shade on the floor and some of the furniture. It adds so much mood, so much emotion to the scene. It's a pleasure to look at. The framing is good. It's informative. The architectural situation is properly depicted. We see everything: the entrance, the kitchen, the living room, and even the stairs leading to the floor above. Regarding the framing, maybe it's a bit too much ceiling visible in this case. Looks a bit heavy for some reason. So my recommendation here would be to shift the cropping downwards, and I think this will end you up with a more balanced final look. So this is something like this. You see we have more floor now and less ceiling, and I think that the composition now feels more balanced. Also, in terms of design, I find the sofa positioning slightly questionable. because it seems like it's very, very close to those kitchen bar stools, which is kind of needless because you must have enough space here on the side. So maybe you place it like this for this shot, but actually it's more like this, more rotated towards the camera. If this is the case, that's okay, but this area here looks a bit cramped. And when it comes to the lighting, this is a very subjective one. The depot shade to me looks slightly artificial, like it's a result of artificial light with a gobble mask to it rather than actual light coming from the outside. Again, I said this is very subjective, and this is the case because to a regular common viewer, this won't be something that I see as an issue, but it's more like I'm curious if this is the way you did it or if this is the actual lighting coming from the outside. Please let me know. It seems like you're not here anymore, but you can always then put it in the comments of the recording. Enough about this one. Let's move on a floor above, if I'm not mistaken, to the bedroom floor, to the bedroom level. Here the framing looks better to me. The central perspective also makes more sense. Here we have a central perspective but almost no central elements, so it feels kind of slightly unbalanced, whereas here we have way more symmetry. You see it here on the pendant lights with the nightstands underneath. We see it in the chairs in the front, the pot plants to the side. And then we have the non-symmetrical elements, like the way the bed is made, this rack to the right, and a hammock with mirror to the left, which break the symmetry, and this is what leads to a visual excitement. But if you have a central perspective and almost no symmetrical elements, I find it a bit weird sometimes. Design, set, and materials here are absolutely fine. I really enjoy the way the furniture fits to each other. It's very harmonious. My only concern here is actually the size of this jute rug on the floor, because it feels a bit small. You see the chairs are barely fitting on it. So just give it a bit more for the 10-15 centimeters radius so that it's a bit bigger than the chairs, and then it would be awesome. Now let's take a look at the top view of the same room, which is definitely an interesting angle. It grabs the viewer attention because it's unusual, and it also makes the whole photo session kind of more exciting, and it's informative as well. Because if we take a look at the previous shot, a lot of people who don't really have this good depth perception, and these are a lot of the clients, will probably assume that this bed is actually situated next to the glazing here. And with this top perspective, you actually show that there is an actual movement area here, and the bed is more or less in the middle of the room. So here the space flow is very clear, and this makes a lot of sense to do this an angle like this. It's again very nicely visible how the architecture and interior design go together. Similar to the first shot, however, I think we see a bit too much ceiling here, which eventually can lead to a bit of an unbalanced composition. Once again, you can shift the cropping downwards. I have an example of this, which is more like this. I think it feels better balanced this way. And alternatively, what you can do is also try out a fisheye lens shot. I don't know if this is one, but if so, it's with a very mellow FOV, so you can of course step it up a bit and yeah, try it out. I think it will fit the space, because the circular distortion coming with the fisheye shot will emphasize the architectural concept even more. Now let's take a look at this close-up that we also saw on today's cover image. Definitely good framing with beautiful depth of field, some natural framing here, even in the corner down here. The focus area looks great. I love the compositional triangle. Let's analyze a bit here. So we have the pillow, this pendant, and the nightstand, and all three make this nice triangle. And what is so great about triangles is that triangles add structure and stability to your compositions. And I even found an article or two about this one. Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta delete this one. Let me just remove it. And these two articles I will gladly share with you. It's about using triangles in compositions. I found just two that I found equally good. So second one even is about main and secondary objects, which is a piece of additional information. So I decided to just share both of them with you today. But yeah, having a triangle in your composition is always great. It always adds some stability. Also, what we have here, nice atmosphere, nice storytelling, because we have this laid back mood, it's inviting, it's welcoming, generally having a positive vibe to it. We have this feeling of comfort, and all of those are great qualities for a residential interior design. Like you feel you want to just lie in this bed and take a coffee or read a book or something like this. Only thing you may want to fix here is the steam of the coffee. It looks kind of it's too strong. If it's a VDB, you gotta give it a bit more transparency because currently it's very heavy. And then we end up at the last shot, which is the kitchen bar stool close up, which is another example of good framing. We have beautiful composition with natural proportions to it. It just feels right. Um, and we also have sweet depth of field with very clear focus. Despite so many elements in this scene, it doesn't feel overcrowded. Instead, we have a very nice clear focus. And what is also great about the depth of field here is how the blurriness of it fuses the render and the background, the HDRI background, so harmoniously, and it looks so realistic. Big quality of the shot, obviously, we talked about this, the materials, you could almost feel them through the screen. Just take a look at the wood, take a look at this wool. This just feels so real. And remember, folks, no photorealism without realistic looking and behaving materials. It just isn't possible. I see Amit says, only thing in this image is the background. It looks too big if you see the leaves and also a bit low resolution. This is considering the height of the floor. I think Amit is talking about this one. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if this is like the ground that we see with some shrubs and those big leaves, that this is the case. But actually, it didn't really bother me. I mean, it depends on the area. In some, let's say, Southern American areas, you have plants that have humongous leaves like banana plants or something. So I don't know. Maybe you can blur it out a bit more. Maybe for a shot like this, you could just rotate the HDRI until you have something which fits more the scale of the image. It continues the triangle composition image or the close-up bedroom image. Yeah, I know. So yeah, but that's all it. It's absolute high quality work, Dhanushka. Tilina said that the client was very happy with the final result, and to be honest, this is not hard to believe. I hope this is not your last collaboration, and generally hope this is not the last collaboration, not the first, and definitely not the last collaboration between artists from the community. It says, just a thought on first look, but you can go away with it. Yeah, I know. I think I agree with this. They're a bit too big, a bit overscaled in this case. But yeah, didn't bother me too much, I gotta admit. Okay, let's move on to Loo's work. I hope I pronounce your name the right way, my friend. Let's see what you have to say about it. Hello, guys. It is my first time to post here. Thank you for dropping by. It's 3ds Max and Corona. So yeah, the description is okay. It's kind, for sure. It mentions your software combination. Still, gladly tell us more about, is it commercial work? Is it a reproduction? If it's a reproduction, please give a link to the original project. If it's a commercial work, maybe tell us more about it. Tell us more about your goals, stuff like this. It just helps better understand your project. Also, just for the record, this is not your first time posting here. It's the third one. You have posted one work a year ago. I've commented on it, and one before that, because it's not that I doubt what you write. It's just that your name and the quality of your work were kind of not that new to me, let's call it. So I decided to go back and see. And yeah, you must have just forgotten about it. It's not a big deal. Now let's talk about the general impression of your work. It only consists of one image, and each shot looks great. It's very architectural and art day Art Daily type of shot, which is amazing. Now we'll start with the good stuff, and there is a lot of it. First of all, the design. It's cool, pretty timeless architecture. What we have here reminds me of Frank Lloyd Wright's architectural language. Even searched about it because we have those overhanging roofs, we have big glazings, we have stone walls, and all of those elements we can also see in your work. So this is why I'm very curious to know, is it something you came up with, or did you visualize it for a client, or is it a recreation? Because yeah, it looks very influenced by Frank Lloyd Wright's type of architectural language. Um, so yeah, the motif itself is great. Now let's take a look at the modeling and scattering, and both of them being really convincing. When it comes to the modeling, I really like the large variety of architectural details that we have here. We have roofs, we have railings, glazing, large glazings. We have slabs, we have stone walls, two different types of them. We have fences, gates, curbs. There are so many architectural elements that we see every day in real life, and this is something that the viewer's eye is used to seeing, and this is why it makes it believable. Also, you have modeled imperfections when it comes to modeling. Let's take a look at those tilted pavers here, or the uneven stone. If I zoom in a bit so that you can see this, you see there is this covering plate on the stone wall, which seems to be uneven. And again, this looks authentic and nice. When it comes to the scattering, again, the variety of different plants and natural elements is what makes the difference here. So I counted around 6-7 types of ground cover plants. Then we have rocks. Then we have 6-7 types of shrubs and trees and palm trees. And all of this makes for an authentic appearance because nature is random. Even if you plant stuff, you don't just plant grass everywhere. Sometimes you do, of course, but adding different types of plants just adds realism to your scene and authenticity. The materials, oh no, before I continue with the materials, the scattered leaves add further realism. By the way, in your case, you decided to put them only around the edges. Personally, I prefer to have them everywhere, obviously more around the edges, and just a few single ones on a road like this or on the grass. But in your case, it's okay. It's clean, but not artificially tidy. In so much greenery, you need scattered leaves. That's just the truth. Material-wise, materials look really nice, especially the stone wall shader. Let's zoom in on this area. It looks amazing. Very, very convincing appearance because of the great displacement that you put on it, the way it reacts to light, the way that the stones are illuminated and the grouts between them are shadowy is just very, very natural. And the color scheme in general is also quite pleasant. Lighting wise, the lighting is awesome. In terms of composition, we have this moderately dark foreground, and then we have this building which is directly illuminated, turning into the main object of interest. I really like this, makes a lot of sense. Takur says this type of exterior lighting looks amazing. I agree. It's mostly because of the depot shade here. Without it, you will find it boring. But putting a tree on the way of the sunbeams creates depot shades like this, and they are so random and so realistic. And every time we talk about the work having a depot shade like this, you guys enjoy it. So maybe take notice. Also, talking about the lighting, the combination of the overhanging roofs and the direct sun is always good. Why is this? Because such roofs aren't a random architectural element, but more they have a function, and most of the time it's a sheltering function. They shelter from sun or rain. So usually you have overhanging roofs like this in areas where it becomes quite hot, very sunny, or it's very rainy, and the roofs are supposed to give you shelter. So it makes a lot of sense to have direct sun or to have rain in your image if you want to showcase the architecture properly. And last but not least, we have this pleasant summer atmosphere with beautiful natural gobbles, just mentioned them, and real nice overall mood. And when it comes to the framing, we have this low gorgeous central perspective, which very much fits this type of building. The cropping works, the natural framing is pleasant to look at. So yeah, so far everything's great. Now let's see what can be improved, and it's not much. There are only a few points, and I think improving them will make this image even better. So we'll start with the biggest issue on my side, and this is with the building being lifeless. So because there is no interior at all, everything seems empty, which makes it lack this lived-in feeling that we usually strive to achieve with our visualizations. And this usually leads to the building losing some of its relatability. Also, we have a huge terrace area here, but again, it's unpopulated, it's empty, and we get this sterile, lifeless feeling out of it. So to fix this, just invest some time in creating a lived-in feeling. Cosmos Library is your friend. I am sure you also have your own library as well. Just hint some interiors. I mean, this is like a luxury house. You don't need to have tons of small items. You just can have some massive chandelier, some humongous wall art, and it will do the trick. Some curtains maybe on the inside, and yeah, also place some patio furniture, some sunshade, some plants on the terrace to make it look used. When it comes to the modeling, and let's stay at the terrace, the railing needs more detail. Currently, it's almost invisible. You can barely figure out where it is. So give it some more constructional details, a handrail, some bolts and stuff, and I think it will be more perceivable, and this will complete the looks of your building. When it comes to the modeling imperfections, I think they're great, but they are also partially over the top. Because you have those concrete pavers that are very uneven. So just go easier on the tilting, assuming you use floor generator on them. And when it comes to the walkway area, it's also a bit too wavy. Just go a bit easier on the noise of it. Respectively, make sure to use polyselect and deselect your edge. So you take this geometry, okay? You choose the edge, then the edge vertices, then you grow a bit, then you invert your selection, use soft selection with polyselect selected, and then add noise only to the vertices that are in the middle parts of this, but not the one on the edge, so that you can still have a solid and not a wavy edge like this. If you didn't understand it, I can actually show this one, but we don't have so much time today. And when it comes to the scattering edge is not very clean. There is some grass clipping through those concrete plates, so just be more precise with your exclude areas, and you should be fine. And when it comes to the materials, your glass looks a bit flat. So what I would recommend is partition it and actually give it some randomized noise bump so that the reflections look more realistic. And when it comes to the greens, almost all greens are actually perfect. It's only this plant here which doesn't match the tonality of the other plants. And I think you should just try to match it better, and then it will look better. But that's it. It's a really, really nice workload. Hope this won't be the only shot of it, because you have put a lot of work into this one and it's visible, and it would be a pity to just take one shot and then call it a day. I hope you can take some further angles and you have yourself an awesome portfolio project. It says a quick tutorial, short tutorial on this, Theo. You can post it in the group. Yeah, I mean, let me see. Maybe I can show it to you quickly. But yeah, for now, we can move on with Simão's work, which is the last one we will be reviewing today. Simão has shared a new work after a long time. Let's see what he has to say about it. Good morning, fellow artists. I've been meaning to share projects and ideas here in the group for a while, so I've created this common room to show how much I've grown with your contributions. This sounds awesome. Your input has been invaluable in the work I've been doing. Thank you all very much. I'm confident we'll continue to grow and improve. I'm certain you'll like it. I'm eager to receive your criticism and contributions so I can improve even more. I use the following software: 3ds Max, Corona Renderer, Photoshop, and Neo. And this is a very cool description. Dear Simão, I saw you in the comments. I hope you're still there. It explains your workflow. It explains your goals. It tells us a bit of a story. You were absent. The group helped you grow, and now you want to show how much you've grown. It sounds amazing. Really happy to hear that you profit from this community. This is what it is for. And as for the image presentation, it's definitely interesting. It's actually pretty consistent despite the very different lighting moods and also mostly varying angles. So cool. Yeah, you're here, I know. So should we take a look at this small tutorial now, or should we move on? It's up to you, folks. We have 8 minutes until we make the 2 hours. Obviously today it will take a bit longer because we talked a lot about the Chaos Connect Day, but sometimes things like this happen. It's up to you. I can for now continue with Simão's work, and if you say, well, I'm still fit, I can watch this, I can quickly show you what I explained to Lowell beforehand. So the general impression, dear Simão, let's actually take a closer look at this before I share my general impression, is for a really competent work that you actually can extract even more. Takur says, yes, tutorial. Well, so if we make it so long, it's because of Takur. It's his fault. Okay, let's try to make it quick, okay? So we'll just make a plane. Let's say it's some kind of a sidewalk, okay? Let's take a look at this. We'll make it maybe a meter wide, 100 centimeters and 400 centimeters long. And we'll just place it in the middle here. Yeah, time permits. I won't go anywhere today anymore, so it's very fine with me. And we'll make something like curves on the side, okay? Man, everything is so slow when it's a live session. So we'll make an instance of this curve, give it a proper different color. Let's take a look, make the curves gray. And then we will just choose one of them because they're instances and show them maybe 0.5 up and 5 centimeters down. Okay, and then we have this plane here. We'll call it walkway and also give it some kind of a color. I know this one ugly, but who cares? And maybe it's time to enable this thing. Well, we don't need any length and width segments here, but here we do. So 50 and 50 or 200. So it's important that we have lots of polygons. So what we want to do now, if we now just gave the walkway a noise modifier, let's say with 5 centimeters, we will end up with something like this, which obviously doesn't look great on the edges, and it doesn't follow the edges. Partially it even overhangs over the edges, which isn't that great, right? We don't want it to be like this, and if you go further it will become even worse, right? We don't want this. This looks ugly. What you want to do now is the following. We'll just disable the noise modifier for a moment, and we'll get a polyselect modifier. With the polyselect modifier selected, we'll select the outer border. Then with control press, we'll press the vertices symbol here. With this, we'll actually select the outer vertices. Then we'll grow a few times, let's say 5 times. And what we'll do next is we'll press Control I to invert our selection. So now currently only the inner vertices are selected. But of course you want a smooth transition, right? So maybe we'll shrink a bit still, and then we'll enable soft selection with a value of, I don't know, 15, 20, I think 15 works. And now only the inner vertices are selected, but with a gradient to the outer ones. And if we now, with the polyselect still selected, enable our noise modifier, look what happens. Now we have a straight edge here to the curves, but we have wavy inner area. And if we scale it down more so that you can see better, you see how it works, right? And this is what you can do with flower beds and stuff like this. And you can always control it. You can always go back to the poly select and then shrink again and something, and have a bit of a more gradient like transition between the straight vertices and the noisy ones. That's it. Simple as that. But I use this technique actually a lot. So yeah, just showing you. It took 2-3 minutes, so I hope it didn't make the show way too long. And why are we here and not here? Okay, so let's continue with Simão's work. We'll talk first about the design. I don't know, Simão, is it your own design, or did you get it from somewhere? Did you get an AI inspiration or a Pinterest or whatever? Because it looks like a luxury 2-story apartment with a sea view, which is really a great thing to visualize. Let's be honest here, and it looks realistic. It looks authentic. Everything makes sense. So, seen purely architecturally, it's really good. Amit says, neat trick. Seraphim says, very good. Thanks. Yeah, you're very welcome, folks. Things like this I can show you because it's very quick, but the big tutorials I leave to others because it will just take so much time of the show that the shows will become 3-4 hours long. Okay, now let's continue with the modeling. The modeling I find to be quite good. And there is, oh, Jihan, nice to see you. I'll talk about you in the inspirational part, which comes next. So the modeling, there is a ton of modeling here, because first of all, a ton of modeling when it comes to the architecture. Then the transition between the modeling and the ready-made assets, I assume you have used ready-made assets for an area like this, for example, is very, very fluid. So in your case, it doesn't look like you just had a 3D model that you built and then some assets and then you put them together. Sometimes something like this is visible. There is almost no connection between the built environment and the assets populating it. But in your case, they fit together in a marvelous way. It's great. Also, the amount of detail is quite impressive. Large space like this, in order to feel lived in, needs a lot of assets, and you have them. You've put them. You have cushions and pillows and all the deco stuff, and then in the kitchen you have all the tableware, and the kitchen is populated as well. Only thing missing is a bit of some plates here in the kitchen block, but yeah. Apart from this, kudos, you did a really, really good job. What I think can be improved upon when it comes to modeling is the edge of this carpet. Let's zoom in on it a bit. Currently, it's a bit cartoonishly wavy. I mean, I understand not having a perfectly straight edge. It's very realistic. However, in the current state, it's just over the top. So use a noise modifier, maybe with something which I just shown you, and try to use it more locally in a more subtle and directed way, and then it will look better. And also, when it comes to this overhanging roof on the outside, currently it's very simplistic and rudimentary, just a white plane, more or less. So what you can do there is add a bit more detail, so maybe hint some panel partitioning, put some outdoor spots, make a finished plate here on the front, and then it will look more realistic on the outside as well. Now, material-wise, materials look really nice, go together very well, in my opinion. It's more of a monochromatic color scheme, but there is nothing wrong with it. There are still some accent colors, which is nice. Now, due to low resolution or your low render quality settings, materials don't look as nice as they actually, I assume, do. If you take a look at this, here, for example, they look a bit muddy, but I don't think the issue is with the materials themselves. I think the issues are your render settings where details are getting lost. Maybe it's the denoising, maybe it's just low render settings, but try to go up with those because it's a bit of a pity that so much work is being put into this and we don't really get to enjoy all of it. And when it comes to the floor material here, it's the material itself and its mapping look quite strange, so you may want to check it out and fix it. When it comes to lighting and framing, definitely qualities of this work, I think it makes sense to check the images one by one, starting with this one, the first. Framing here is really good. The angles pleasantly dynamic together with the architectural forms. The cropping definitely works. You didn't cut off anything essential. You managed to show the whole thing, this two-story space. It's great. The lighting only adds to it. We have this very moody atmosphere coming from the HDRI on the outside, and it very much fits this interior. So here I don't really have anything negative to say, and I think we can move on to the second shot. Here the framing once again is pretty fine. We have good focus, sweet depth of field on the foreground so that the viewer can concentrate more on the dining and kitchen areas. The lighting is nice, but in this case it feels like it's not enough because the scene feels kind of underexposed. So what I would recommend is actually fixing it by turning on some of the lights on the inside. Mostly the pendant above the kitchen table, which luckily you actually already did on the fourth shot. So this is why we'll continue to this one. And you see this time with the interior light being turned on, this pendant here, I think you forgot one here. But now the interior illumination holds up against the sunset sky on the outside. And the lighting composition now feels balanced. There is no more underexposure. So to me, this fourth version is the better one. Only thing missing are those backlit kitchen cabinets that you had here. So try to fuse them all together. So what I did is I got them back, and I think this is the best version. The more little bit is, the better in this case. And finally, we have the third shot, which is one back, which when it comes to framing, once again, beautifully framed central perspective. We have a awesome feeling of depth and verticality here as well. Verticality because of this portrait aspect ratio and seeing the difference between the 1 and 2 story spaces, and the depth because of the lighting and the tonal contrast. You see how we have those awesome tonal contrasts which are visually so exciting. You see we have a bright area here and a shadowy next to it, and then again a bright one and a shadowy one. And then here in the depth again we have a bright one after the shadowy area and a shadowy one, and then the bright kitchen, the bright dining area in front of the dark kitchen. Those contrasts make for depth, make for visual excitement, and I try to always have them as if it suits a project, of course. And also additionally seeing the lighting adds some positive mood, creates wonderful atmosphere that very much fits the location and the type of living. So great stuff. So only thing negative I have to say here is tune up the quality of your renders and the output settings. Gladly render those in 4K with a lot of detail, low denoising value or none at all, so that all the detail sticks out. And also shoot some close-ups. You have so many assets here. Currently, the image scale on every shot is pretty much the same. We see stuff from the distance. Why not zoom in on the tableware, on the kitchen, on some of these assets on the table or on this TV wall? You have so much potential here that you still haven't taken all of. So what I would recommend next would be mid and close distance shots. And that's it. Really awesome project, Simão. With a few more hours invested, you can easily take it up a level and reward yourself with one amazing, really convincing portfolio project. So please do. And with this, we're at the end of the reviewing session, and it's time for some inspirations. Of course, we can skip them. They're not essential, but I always like to show them to you because not every work which is shared I can talk about. You know, in the meantime, we have so many works. I just simply cannot manage anymore to review everyone, either in the show or with a written feedback, because if I do so, I will never come to do anything else anymore. But still, I really want to show you some of those projects that we don't get to review, but I can quickly show them to you here. This is what we'll do. I hope you can, you're still awake. We'll start with a lighting study in Vantage by Chihan. He's now in the comments. If you want to ask him something, you can do it now. And to you, Chihan, congrats for your work, for your lighting study being featured by Chaos. Rightfully so, because it's another depiction of the importance and impact of lighting. Because what we see here is the same motive with different lighting scenarios leading to different final outcomes. Sometimes the final outcome, the difference is in the mood. Other times, however, the difference is in the emphasis. One lighting can be good to accentuate materials, while other lighting may focus more on the emotion, for example, like this one. So my advice is use references and studies like this while working on your commercial and experimental personal projects, and experiment with lighting. Lighting adds a lot of mood. Start slowly, start with sunny midday until you become better, but once you're better, try experimenting more with different lighting scenarios, because you can then tell different stories because of this. Talking about experimenting, I gotta show you Navid's work. It's called Single Villa. It's a very interesting one. Why is it inspiring? Because obviously here he experimented with lighting, with volumetrics, composition, color scheme, and tone mapping. So much experimentation, and the final result is very interesting to look at. Some may like it, others may not, but it is something else. It is something different, and for an artist, it is essential to do things like that. And now when you say, yes, but this has nothing to do with commercial work, also I'm into interiors anyways, these were exteriors, so yeah, why is it inspiring to me? Well, you could do experiments on the inside as well. Let me show you this work by Ali Reza. We talked about a project of his on the previous show. And the project is called Elysian Geometry. Really enjoyed this one. Why? Because obviously it's creative, it's unique, it's highly experimental in terms of color scheme. Kind of reminded me of Kratos from God of War. Just, yeah, you see the color scheme, you see the red and the white. Yeah, and the staffage is also very interesting, but at the same time, it's still a cool interior. So if you take a look at the single images, it's more or less a pretty classic photo shoot with a good attention to detail and composition and lighting. But yeah, you can get inspired from a work like this, even for your very casual commercial work. Now, if you don't feel like experimenting at all, but still want to get some serious interior inspiration, then you gotta check out the next work by Bogdan Guinea, which is I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. We have awesome modeling, ultra realistic materials. Let me just show you the fabric here. Let me just move on a bit and we'll go back then. To take a look at this fabric. I mean, come on. But yeah, also what we have here, very gentle, almost poetic framings, amazing attention to detail, to composition, to light, color. In this case, we have mellow lighting because we want to concentrate, we want to showcase materials, we don't want to overexpose them with some direct sunlight, but we still, you see, there are still some depot shades down on the floor. It's not completely neutral white lighting, right? So yeah, this is just a project to get inspired by. Absolutely awesome work, visual poetry, I would even call it. Yeah, he was inspired by Jakub Czech, and I think this is very much visible here. So yeah, this is another project you can get inspired by. And while we're on the topic of great works, I can share, I want to show you a project by Hosem. He shared his yesterday. It's a Dubai high-end interior design villa, a work he made with his brother. I don't know if bro or like real life brother. Nevertheless, it's a direct production of an Arc Daily reference, and it's a massive project, really big one. But they made it look absolutely amazing, very skillfully pulled off, and just a pleasure to go through those images and see what kind of good recreation some artists are capable of. And I think this was actually it. I think this is the end of today's show. Simão says, thank you very much. Abdi says, these live shows are just incredible, Theo. Very grateful for gathering so many valuable inputs. Thank you. You're very, very welcome, Abdi. Thanks back to you for all the work that you put to give us those awesome tutorials. Bogdan Guinea, oh, you're here, man. Glad to see you. Thank you, Theodore Vodov. Yeah, you're very, very welcome. Your work is amazing. Amit says, thank you, Theo, for today's lovely show. It was incredible with chaos events to start with and end with some cool inspiration. Cheers, Theo, and bye all. Yes, it's really time to wrap it up. However, before we part ways for the next 2 weeks, let me remind you that about the upcoming webinar by Mike this Thursday, July 25th. I don't know at which time. Usually he starts a bit later, around 7 p.m. in the Central European time, and it will be about Corona 12 and Mike's impressions from the Chaos Connect Day. So definitely check it out. I'll be there. And as usual, it was a great pleasure hanging out with all of you. We made it in 2 hours and 12 minutes, not as much as I thought. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you again in 2 weeks at the same place and time. And until then, stay safe, be healthy, rock on, and bye, my friends.